didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
I'm your host, Megan Klingenberg. One thing I promised you is an all-access pass that you wouldn't get on any other show. And we found out that whoever comes on scores a goal. Burhope, Freeman, Trusty. U.S. Soccer Podcast magic is real, people. We still got plenty of coverage all throughout this World Cup. Okay, let's get into it.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast, presented by Henkel. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Be weather aware later tomorrow night. Some storms rolling through central Alabama. We're going to talk some Braves baseball coming up. Hopefully the weather will cooperate in St. Louis, Missouri tonight, as we have a I'm sorry, there was some breaking news that was popping up on my screen. Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure we all saw it.
Yep.
We will verify some things.
Yes, and that
before
is
we talk about it.
And we can, but that's been confirmed that there's been a statement that's been released.
Okay. All right. Barrett Sallee from the Braves Radio Network is going to join us now, talk about the Braves' upcoming series this weekend in St. Louis. We're just talking, Barrett. Hopefully the weather is going to cooperate because it's some bad weather in central Missouri today. So maybe they'll be able to get this in.
Why are we doing the weather thing?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Are you jinxing it?
No, he's not jinxing it. He's just, St. Louis,
I
it's
think
either unbearably
Pat
hot or you're going to get thunderstorms.
I mean, it's going to be 85 and stormy, so it's better than 105 and
I
sunny.
think Pat's just trying to get out of the Cardinals train playing the Braves.
No, actually, Barrett, we did pretty good in Atlanta. We're not really too worried about the 2 out of the 3 that we took in Atlanta. So, no, not very worried.
We've won 2 straight,
All right,
Barrett. Did you let out a big roll tide roll yesterday for Jim Jarvis?
I can never do that, but I was thinking it. Actually, I was talking to him. One of the camera guys for one of our local stations is a Bama guy who used to work in Birmingham, and we both were talking to Jim Jarvis, and then finally I was like, "There's way too much Bama here. I got to leave," and just walked away. I can't do it.
Too much Bama. That's what they used to say in the college football playoff.
Yeah, back in the day.
Hey, yeah, that's true. That is true.
I want to go back a couple.
That's not there anymore.
I want to go back a couple days because this is why I love baseball so much. So you're sitting there and you've got a pitcher throwing a perfect game for Pittsburgh. He's on a pitch count. He leaves the game, and it's one of those games where you keep it close. It's no score, and it just takes a bloop and a hit and maybe a bomb, and then all of a sudden things turn around. And that's exactly what happened for Atlanta to get that win. And then, of course, that it parlayed that into a big win yesterday. Kind of take us back a couple days with that big, impressive win late against the Pirates.
Yeah, I think everybody sort of knew that he was on a pitch count. And I know the easy thing is to criticize him and say these pitchers are soft and blah, 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 and all that other stuff. But this is a guy who throws 100 but is still coming off the internal brace surgery. And the internal brace surgery is still like new, right? It's, it's not something that is like there's a set sort of rehab method for it. So, I think for the Braves, they knew like that guy was going to throw a perfect game or a no-hitter or a one-hitter. They knew that, but they also knew that he wasn't going to be around very long. So, I think for Walt, that was sort of the game plan, was somehow get to the bullpen because their bullpen is not good at all. And they did it. So, I think everybody we talked to were super complimentary of Jared Jones, and they like him a lot. They feel like he's one of the future stars for the Pirates. But he's still, like I said, coming off the internal brace. There's no necessarily a blueprint for how you recover. So, it was kind of the plan all along for them. They knew it. Jared Jones knew it. Everybody knew it. And, it's unfortunate that for him that he didn't get a chance to throw that perfect game. But But at least the Braves got that win. Joey Bart was awesome. And then last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say, just putting up crooked numbers. They seem like they're putting up more crooked numbers now. And that's been something that has kind of they've kind of avoided that the last month and change, and that's a big reason why they've struggled. But now you're back at it, and to see guys like Yaz and Jim Jarvis, not necessarily normal contributors, actually play big roles, it's nice to see and a good sign for the future.
Yeah, and you still have the Austin Riley conundrum, and we can kind of get into that. But Walt Weiss, he's been around a long time. He's been a manager before. He's been with the Braves, and he has seen stretches like that in the past. But you have an interesting perspective from your vantage point of being there on the network. You get to see interactions and how they interact with one another in the clubhouse. How has he managed that Braves clubhouse over the last month, Barrett?
Yeah, I mean, Walt is hands-on when he needs to be. He's, I think, insinuated that he's maybe voiced his frustration maybe a little bit more than Snit would have. But he always says he's going to keep those conversations private, which is the right thing to do. But any good clubhouse doesn't really need a manager. The whole point of having a leader is for that leader to do what the manager doesn't want to do and shouldn't need to do, and that's, provide some inspiration and kick somebody in the butt here and there. So I think to that end, Walt has been sort of hoping that somebody would take that and run with it, and I think there have been guys that have done that. But, 3 weeks into June, I think Walt basically had enough and was like, all right, I got to do something here. And I wouldn't say that we know exactly what was said, but he certainly insinuated that something was said. And, I think for that, Walt is he's a good feel of his team because he's been around him. And I don't think that they would take that negatively. In fact, I would think that they would take that positively. And if you go back a couple years, Snit actually did have to do that. There was a famous time in Arizona in a 4-game set where Snit just lost it behind the closed doors. We don't know exactly what he said, but we know something was said. And since at that point they took off and, basically were a playoff team from there on out. They looked good. They looked consistent. So that might be the case right now and with what's happening, because Walt, I think, definitely suggested that something was said.
It's interesting, Barrett, as I was doing a deep dive on some of the numbers over the last couple of weeks for Atlanta, everything kind of coincides with Matt Olson, because when Olson kind of did not have the power stroke going, then all of a sudden he finds it again, and then the rest of the team have picked it up. So it's kind of interesting how the power skid coincided with the Braves hitting not as many home runs, not just because he's a great power hitter, but the rest of the team. Kind of talk about how he goes, the rest of the team goes.
Yeah, I think with Matt, when he's dangerous, and look, Matt's always a threat, but they know if he's in a slump, and Matt has gone into some slides before, not huge ones, but, he's a little streaky. So if it's a downturn, then Ozzy's not going to be seeing more as many pitches to hit. Drake, Michael, however the lineup is set up, those guys in front of Matt, now are getting a ton of pitches to hit because Matt's a threat again. At that elite level. So, yeah, it does kind of go as Matt goes, so does the rest of the team. And, you have those guys. Freddie was the same way, but Freddie was a little bit more consistent. But, yeah, Matt, I think he understands how big of a role he has. And even if he's not at his best, he needs to at least give off the impression that he is, because so many things fall into line. It's kind of the same with Ronald Acuna Jr., right? Ronald didn't have a great year last year after he got back, even though he was an all-star, but that was mostly a hometown thing. Ronald wasn't having a great year this year, but it doesn't really matter. It's the threat, and that changes the approach for other teams and pitchers and things like that. So, it matters a lot, and I don't necessarily think just the presence of certain players and how that changes the approaches gets recognized as much as maybe it should.
Hanging out with Barrett Sallee, pre- and post-game host of the Atlanta Braves Radio Network, part of 680 The Fan. He joins us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We got the All-Star break coming up shortly. Not long after that, we'll get the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Seeing a lot of news on the 36-year-old right-handed pitcher, Sonny Gray, and his connection potentially to the Braves. What can you tell us not only on Sonny Gray and that connection, but also other rumblings and rumors you're hearing?
Well, I think the biggest thing with the Braves, with all of these rumors, either it's those agents leaking that information or people just making stuff up, or hearing information from other teams. The Braves, that place is on lock like it has the nuclear codes, man. They are not going to let anything out of there. So that doesn't mean they're necessarily not interested in Sonny Gray, but that information will not come from anybody connected with the Braves. So his agent might be posturing, Joe Ryan's agent might be posturing, Scooble, whatever, and that's fine. But, you know, I think for the Braves, that is, they understand that those representatives or other teams are going to do that for leveraging purposes. But Alex Anthopoulos is a ninja, man. He knows what he's doing, and he will allow and encourage that type of activity from other teams on purpose. And I think Sonny Gray will be mentioned. I think Joe Ryan will be mentioned. And this is not something I've heard, and certainly not from the Braves, but could Casey Mize be one of those guys? He's a free agent. And he's not making a ton. Maybe you do a trade and sign like they did with Matt Olson with a guy like Casey Mize, who isn't going to demand all that much because he's a free agent. So there are options out there, and I know the Braves are interested. But again, I take anything you hear about the Braves being interested. If you see those words, the Braves being interested, take that with multiple grains of salt.
Got to ask you about the NL East standings. It's gotten pretty interesting now as we head to the second half of the season after the All-Star break. The Phillies and Marlins, how would you sum up those two franchises, and can they make a run and make this interesting against Atlanta in the second half?
Yeah, they can. I mean, the Phillies pitching, if Nola's good and Sanchez is what he has been, and I think they're dangerous because that you add in Zach Wheeler, that's really scary. I think their offense is old, and that's the thing, is how healthy will they be? The thing with the Marlins is, and I said this before the season, I wasn't worried about the Marlins competing for the division. Now I am, but I said they are going to be a pain in the you-know-what for anybody they play, and they are going to have a big say in who wins the division because they will beat teams consistently at a pretty high level. Steal bases, they know who they are, they're not going to sway from it. So now that the Marlins are sort of in this thing, yeah, they scare me a little bit. Not as much as the Phillies, but I wouldn't discount them at all.
Barrett, do you know what happened on July 10th of 2021?
July 10th of 2021 is the day that the Braves traded for Jock Peterson, correct?
Well, no, it actually says here that Ronald Acuna Jr. tore his right ACL, ending his 21 season.
Oh, yeah. That was in July? It feels like it was earlier than that.
It was right before the All-Star break. I remember where I was. I was in Gulf Shores when it happened. Yep.
I guess it was.
Yep. And then the Braves go on to win the World Series. So
yeah, that worked out well for everybody involved except Ronald, because even though he got a ring, no.
That's right. What is the expectation on Ronald in his return?
He's probably going to go out on a rehab during the All-Star break, and Walt told us last week, a couple days ago actually, that the expectation is for him to be back with the Braves, if not the first week of after the All-Star break, shortly thereafter. So he will be coming to a minor league park near you most likely next week.
It sure would be nice to have him on a consistent basis, just saying, from one fan.
It would be helpful, yes. That would be very helpful.
Come on, Ronnie. Can't make the club in the tub. That's what Trooper Taylor used to say.
Get it together. Get it together.
All right, Barrett, we will be listening. We appreciate you joining us. Go Braves. Let's get at least 2 out of 3 from Pat's hated Cardinals.
Two out of 3 from Pat's hated Cardinals. I like it.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, see y'all.
Barrett Sallee, Braves Radio Network, the pre- and post-game host. You can hear him during rain delays, comprehensive coverage, and Barrett does a wonderful job. And a lot of you Braves fans let us know that. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. In case you missed it, ESPN's FBI, college football for 2026. It's out. Where is your team? We're going to tell you next on 3-Man Front. 12:19, 3-Man Front here on a Friday. Landrum, Pat, Conrad, and Molly. Glad you're with us. ESPN, their latest FPI, the 2026 season edition, is out. We've been discussing that throughout the show. Lots of different measurables that you can look at, but I guess the biggest takeaway, Conrad, would be that your Alabama Crimson Tide preseason in the FPI is not as high or low, however you want to look at it, as they were last season preseason.
Yeah, so they were number 3 last year, number 8 this year, but I still think number 8, just in the context of this season, right, that's going to be higher than you're going to see them in the AP poll, for example, or the coaches poll when we get started with the actual season. But, you know, strength of schedule, some of those other factors are going to give a benefit to SEC teams like Alabama, and you know what, we'll see if we can live up to that. I think a lot of people, if you were to say, hey, right now, Alabama will finish the regular season the number 8 team in the country and they're going to make the college football playoff, you would say, sign me up for that.
No question. I'm sitting here looking. There's been, including today's ESPN FPI, because we're yet to see CBS Sports, USA Today, AP, Coaches Poll, Kelly Ford, Pick Six previews, all those we are yet to see. But from Lindy's, Athlon's, Phil Steele, and ESPN FPI, this is the highest that Alabama is ranked in any of those publications that I just mentioned. There are 11 in Phil Steele and Lindy's, and there are 15 in Athlon's. So coming in at number 8 in the ESPN FPI is the highest so far.
All right, so 8 for Alabama. Auburn comes in at number 22, and their strength of schedule as opposed to Alabama's. Auburn's is 13th, I think, by this. It shows with the strength of schedule. But Auburn, I can't remember. I don't think, was Auburn, were they a top 25 last year in the FPI or just outside of it? Maybe at like 20.
They were 14 last year.
Were they really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They were.
You drop 8 spots from last year. Interesting.
Hugh Freeze sold a lot of people a lot of things last year.
Yeah, because I think that you don't have as many question marks at quarterback. I don't.
I'm sitting here looking at all those publications that I mentioned from last year, and the highest ranking that Auburn had was in the FPI preseason. They were 14. They were 27 in Lindy's. They were 31 in Athlon's. Phil Steele had them at 24. Kelly Ford had them at 18. They were 25 in the CBS preseason poll. Wasn't even ranked in the USA Today preseason poll, and Auburn was 20th in the Pick Six previews.
Okay. And several other, as you would expect, SEC schools there in the top 25. I mean, Tennessee, for instance, they're 16th in these rankings.
Yeah, it seems a little high to me.
Yeah, just based on quarterback. Maybe the strength of that team is going to be their defense with Jim Knowles, potentially. But you know, how good is the offense going to be without maybe someone playing the level of Joey Aguilar? I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah, you might be wishing for Joey Aguilar, and there were times last year where I think he did better than we expected, but he certainly didn't live up to the standard of what you would expect for Tennessee and Heupel.
Could you imagine the folks in Columbus, Ohio, as they're sitting there looking at the domination of the Southeastern Conference in regards to the FPI and the strength of schedule, and Ohio State being the only Big Ten school worth a darn in the top 15? And how they're probably ridiculing.
Oh, they're rolling their eyes, yeah.
You know, how overhyped the SEC is.
Correct. Arkansas is not that much tougher than Rutgers. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. Very true. Indiana's got the 33rd toughest schedule in college football, according to the FPI.
What is Oregon's?
26.
USC.
They're like 19 or something.
19.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Northwestern has the third toughest, Michigan the second toughest, and Ohio State the top team in the Big Ten as far as their schedule goes.
My sleeper pick out of the Big 12, 35th ranked strength of schedule, Houston and the Cougars.
Houston. Yeah, didn't you say that, and maybe this, because I know maybe last year we got burned by them and we felt like, oh, maybe this is a year that Penn State will kind of live up to expectations. And I know this year now people are like, oh, well, they're a dark horse maybe in the Big Ten with Matt Campbell and Rocco Beck and all those guys. Aren't they like 62nd or something in strength of schedule?
62nd.
Yeah,
you are correct.
See, that's why. It's like, okay, now it all makes sense.
They're dead last in the Big Ten. The easiest schedule, according to the FPI.
Yeah, so they should have a bounce back year.
Just like, according to the FPI, Georgia has the easiest schedule in the Southeastern Conference.
Well, and that makes sense where if you've looked at some of the other projections that have come out this offseason where Texas, in a lot of people's eyes, is going to be ranked higher in the preseason polls, a lot of projections have Georgia with more wins than Texas, and it's because Texas has one of the 2 or 3 hardest schedules in all of college football. Probably Georgia does not.
More difficult to schedule.
Yeah, good for Kirby. Well, maybe Kirby will convince them they're going to go 8-4 again. And it's worked for him in the past.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there will be another revision. Give it a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to see how many guys on their starting offense for Penn State are Iowa State guys. You've got at least 2 so far. And this is just of their starting 11 on the offense. That would be 3 so far. 4. Okay. And then 5. And then a bunch on defense. Was it 29 players that he took with him from Iowa State?
It sounds from that number
To Happy Valley.
Yeah.
And then you couple that. I mean, that was a pretty good Iowa State team from last year, right? With an easier schedule.
24. It's 24.
I could see a path, maybe. Things get a little bit upside down.
Yep, they took their starting quarterback, running back, and tight end. Some of the highlights there for Penn State.
I'm just Penn State. What their signature win would be, I guess, USC, maybe at Michigan, Washington. I guess Washington going to be. Is that Fish fella still there with his quarterback?
I was about to say, yeah, him and Damon Williams are still there. Yeah.
Or is his family still living in Arizona? Which is just totally bizarre.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're like the warmer weather. It's too rainy in Washington.
Hey, maybe it works for them.
Distance does make the heart grow fonder.
All these afternoon storms reminds you that you need to make sure that all the trees on your property, that they're not ready to come down after one of these storms. You need to do something about that tree before it falls on your house. You need to call Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443. Golston Tree Service handles little jobs like trimming hedges, shaping trees, to hazardous jobs like line clearance, big jobs like complete tree removals with cranes, grinding the stump out and the roots out, hauling off to the last twig, complete tree removal. Bucket trucks make it easy for them. They also offer spikeless climbing, makes it easy on the trees. Like you, they care about what your tree looks like when they're done. Call today for a free estimate. Golston Tree Service also offers that important 24-hour emergency tree service. So if something happens over the weekend or overnight with a tree on your property, call Golston, 205-337-4443.
Some personnel moves out of the Southeastern Conference. We'll tell you what they are, who they are, next on Three Man Front. 12:31, Three Man Front on a Friday. University of Georgia announcing raises and extensions for both of their coordinators for Kirby Smart. Mike Bobo, his deal gets another 2 years. Our offensive coordinator, it was previously set to expire June 30th of 2027. He's now under contract to January 31st of 2029. He'll earn $2.2 million in 2026, $2.3 million next season, and $2.4 in 2028. That contract will mirror the one of Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs. So Georgia's got about $5 million per year wrapped up in their coordinators. How it's changed. I remember when Kirby Smart got $800,000 and everybody thought it was the craziest thing they'd ever heard. And then he got $1 million. And then he got $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're exceeding
3.
Yeah, in some cases.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. But that's like if you're Glenn Schumann, that might be the best job in the world.
There's no question about that.
Coordinate that defense year in, year out.
So I saw this story that The Athletic had a couple days ago. And I vaguely remember this. You might remember it. I'm sure maybe Conrad and Molly has not heard this story before, but it's extremely fascinating. His name is Ron Weaver. He played at the University of Texas back in the 90s. It was days before the 1995 Sugar Bowl, and reporters uncovered that the Texas defensive back, Ron McKelvey, wasn't who he claimed to be. His real identity, Ron McKelvey, was actually Ron Weaver. He was a 30-year-old former college football player competing under a false identity for the University of Texas. Why did he do it? Well, Weaver regretted never getting a chance to play major college football and believed he could still reach the NFL if he was given an opportunity. So here was the scheme. He obtained another man's social security number and identity, enrolled at a California junior college, switched from wide receiver to defensive back, and became a highly recruited prospect. His recruitment to Texas, he claimed to be 24 years old. Weaver signed with Texas and played 11 games during the 1995 season, primarily on special teams and at nickelback. While all this was going on, he was living a double life. While attending school and playing football as Ron McKelvey, he worked under his real name and kept the deception hidden from nearly everyone, including his parents. Now, how was all this exposed? 2 California reporters recognized inconsistencies, confirmed his true identity through local coaches and family members, and contacted Texas officials just before the Sugar Bowl. Then there was a confrontation. Texas coaches questioned Weaver, who initially denied everything before realizing the deception was over. So then he had to plan his escape. Before the team could take further action against him in New Orleans, Weaver quietly slipped out of the team hotel in New Orleans, avoided reporters, and drove away, missing the Sugar Bowl. Now, Texas was later cleared by the NCAA because the NCAA determined the university had no knowledge of the fraud, and Texas avoided sanctions. Now, there was legal consequences. Weaver pleaded guilty to misusing a Social Security number, received probation, and avoided jail time. And now living in Las Vegas, he told The Athletic, looking back, he says he has a few regrets, calling his brief stint at Texas the fulfillment of a lifelong dream to play major college football, even if it was built on one of the sport's most audacious deceptions.
I do vaguely remember the story, but did he have a high school career?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
But part of his deception, though, that I read was claiming that he was of the Jewish faith and he couldn't play on the Sabbath.
In 1992, he was coaching defensive backs for Monterey Peninsula College. It's a community college. But before that, he played at Division II Sacramento State back in the late 80s. So he played for the Hornets. And then he got into coaching, and then he realized that he was in great shape, and he felt like, you know, if I just had another opportunity, if I had a chance to play at a bigger school than Sacramento State, I could get a chance to play in the NFL. And so, sure enough schools, including the University of Texas, he said he wanted to go to Florida and he wanted to go to Notre Dame, but he ended up at Texas.
That's not bad.
No. He failed to catch on in the Canadian Football League and the upstart World League of American football, if you remember that, the Birmingham Fire. And so then he ended up back in California. He was working at an Olive Garden in California, working tables. Then he started working out, and he had an acquaintance that ended up going to jail.
So
that's how he got the Social Security number.
Gotcha. The guy that he assumed the identity, the McKelvey guy, was of the Jewish faith and never played high school football. So his backstory was the Jewish faith and never was able to play.
Yes,
okay.
But he got the Social Security number for someone that was going to prison, that was in prison. Because the guy in prison was like, well, what I need it for now?
Right.
It's like, dude, you
sure.
Here you go. Have at it. But to think about that, I'm not sure it would happen today because you think about back in 1995, the internet was relatively new. Yeah, you did have recruiting services, but there wasn't all this, you didn't have the Molly
you probably had technology lapses.
Well, you don't have Molly Robinson, internet sleuths that's able to go find all this information.
Or just some systems that weren't up to date and they don't have the databases that we have for, it seems like, everything now. I do kind of tip the hat to him because he did it for a genuine love of playing football. And he loved the game. And it doesn't, by reading any of his story, now besides that, yes, it was fraud and it was lying and it was wrong, but the guy just wanted to play football and he wanted to prove to himself and everybody else that he could do it and he could do it at a high level. And going to those extremes, now, as opposed to working at the family liquor store, which it looks like it was his options, yeah, why not?
Yep. His parents owned a liquor store. But kept all that secret to his parents. It says he arrived in Austin the summer of 94. He found he wasn't physically better than others in the position group, but he relished going to practice with future NFL players, trying to compete to measure up. He says to match his new 1970 birth date, Weaver told teammates he had taken time off after high school before entering junior college, keeping the reason ambiguous. Sometimes he pointed to scarring on his hand from a fight that happened after high school. Some on the roster had heard it had happened at a Los Angeles Raiders football game. The real story is that he had been in a fight in Santa Barbara, and it was his fist that went through a window and he needed stitches. But he told his teammates it happened at a Raiders game because he said it made it sound tougher if it happened at a football game.
This poor guy.
But he appeared in 11 games for Texas before his real identity was revealed.
And see, if this had happened 35 years later, nobody would have batted an eye. They'd have been like, here's another 30-year-old playing college football. Okay. Here's your stuff.
Yeah.
Montreal Machine. I remember that franchise.
Yep. It's crazy. But I saw that story, and I vaguely remembered it. I mean, I was already in radio, but we obviously the internet and everything else, we did not talk a lot about Southwest Conference football here on the Paul Feinbaum Show.
It seems like we had our own version of this in college basketball, too, one time. Maybe somebody that, for the love of the game. Ron Weaver, McKelvey Weaver, whatever you want to call yourself.
Yeah.
He definitely had it. That's a good blast to the past. Sure. A lot of your texts coming in on the text line, 205-834-9450. Lots more to get to. Lots more fun on this Friday. It's Three-Man Front and Jock.
It is 12:46 on this Friday. Welcome back into the Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. Text line and the phone lines are wide open, 205-834-9450. If you've noticed cracks in your walls, uneven floors, or moisture building up in your crawl space, don't wait until that small problem becomes a major expense. You need to contact the foundation and moisture protection experts at Deep South Construction Pros. Deep South is a family-owned company here in Alabama specializing in foundation repair, waterproofing, crawl space encapsulation, and moisture control. Whether it's wood rot, mold, settling foundations, water intrusion, their experienced crews fix the problem at the source. They protect your home for the long haul. Get started today. Simply go to deepsouthconstructionpros.com. That's deepsouthconstructionpros.com. Your home, it's their commitment for foundation repair and moisture protection you can trust. Go to deepsouthconstructionpros.com.
A little bit of news coming out of college football, and this is actually from a couple of days ago, but making the rounds, the NIL clearinghouse that is now reportedly rejected $90 million in deals, Pat, while approving $355 million.
Wow.
in NIL agreements, and according to those who support it, they say that proves that the system is working.
That $90 million has been turned down.
That $90 million has been turned down. It says during the 61-day period from May 1st through June the 30th of this year, the CSE rejected NIL deals worth $34 million and cleared NIL deals worth $113 million. So approving more than they're turning down, but they still want to show that they're turning down some of these crazy deals that aren't adding up. Meanwhile, you have an injunction and the NCAA having to fight 15 student athletes that graduated in 2022 fighting the 5 years to play 5.
Yeah.
So the vicious cycle continues.
Yeah. I was sitting here reading some other stories. This monster deal with the Big 12 continues to just be lambasted, mainly because most financial people in the sports world tell you that Monster got a heck of a deal. And each school only getting $1.25 million with that logo being on every one of your jerseys. This is not just a football deal.
Right.
I mean, this is on, men's and women's basketball and football. I mean, this is a pretty big deal.
My question is, did you owe Monster money?
But here's something that was in the very fine print that a lot of people missed. The deal requires Monster to include Big 12 assets in its marketing in more than 100 countries where it advertises. So how many people in Thailand are Central Florida fans? Like you're doing this advertising around the world and you've got to put this Big 12 logo and you've got to promote the Big 12 in all these foreign countries. Like, how is that going to result in any type of profit for any other of the Big 12 schools?
I guess that you're saying you're going to increase your brand, and then you get more people from other parts of the world that are watching, and then your media rights deal somehow grows the next time it comes around?
And remember, they had that deal with WWE a couple years ago. Do they still have that? Do you remember that? The Big 12 championship trophy was a belt?
Yeah.
I don't think there was any money exchanged there. It was just the fact that it was some kind of brand strategic partnership between the Big 12 and WWE.
I do remember the belt.
I believe it was just for last season.
It was just last year?
Yeah, because this is the press release from the conference. WWE and the Big 12 Conference announced an expansion to their multifaceted partnership that will see Friday Night SmackDown broadcast from Big 12 markets on the eve of 4 conference football games throughout the season.
So it was like a Friday night thing then?
I'm assuming so, yes.
Okay. Now, part of what I just said about the worldwide marketing, keep in mind the Big 12 does have some overseas games this year in football.
Yeah, they do. But I'm like you, if that was a part of the deal, I don't know how much you get back from that. It looks kind of cool on paper that your brand is reaching all these folks, but
I think you just said it. I think it looks really good on paper and on a potential. Okay, this value is this because we aired 27 commercials in Malaysia.
Yeah, they made the math work.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, people just ripping it. When you gave that number, I thought, well, surely there's more to it. And then you started doing the math and breaking it down and 1.2 per team. And then to come to find out it's more than just football. Yeah, I feel like the Big 12 left some money on the table. Unless there's something else with Monster and this is just an added value. Like a little bit of a kicker.
Or being able to give you $1 million to go get you a kicker. Or another transfer.
Yeah.
Or a point guard. Whatever the case may be.
205-834-9450. Our friend Howie is back stateside. Hey, Howie.
Howie.
Hey, we're good. We're enjoying the show finally instead of having to wait and watch or listen to replays.
Well, glad you're with us live, Howie. How was everything?
It's good. I have a quick question and then a comment.
Okay.
Did y'all see the video that we sent you of me singing karaoke at the piano bar?
I have not seen the video yet.
We sent it, but that's the first time I did karaoke and at a piano bar, so we had an amazing time with that.
Wonderful.
And then I was just want to say, it's odd not hearing Don talk about sports for 2 weeks, but we truly miss it. We love him. We love all the listeners. We hope that everybody enjoys our endeavors and texting in and calling in, and we just hope, we love this family.
Well, we love you guys too. We're glad you're back safely, and we can't wait to see you on Tuesday. And thank you for complimenting my new Braves jersey on the text line.
Oh yeah, that jersey is awesome. And then, like I said, everybody have a great weekend. Be safe and enjoy the weather.
Thank you, Howie. Glad to have y'all back.
Howie, tell Miss Reba we said hello, okay?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Reba.
Hey, Reba.
All right, thank y'all. See y'all.
Thank you, guys.
See y'all next week.
All right, see
sounds
you.
good.
Bye.
Thank you, Howie.
That's our jet set.
Are you going to go watch the video? The video.
I'll watch the video. There's just a lot here I'm scrolling through.
A lot of text to go through.
No, I just feel like if he took the time to send the video, like we should watch it probably.
Well, when I find it, I don't see the video. Wait, there it is. No, that's the Today Show video. I'll find it. Maybe
good to know that they're
maybe
back
they
safely.
just sent it on your phone.
No, I didn't get it there.
Okay. A lot of adventures there. Continue to text the show, 205-834-9450. Jimmy says, talking about the guy, we're talking about the Weaver guy, with a borrowed identity playing at Texas. He says, I was on a professional football team in the 90s without ever playing college football. Yep, the Birmingham Fire. I was a senior in college. My old high school coach happened to be assistant for the Fire. They had 2 long snappers get hurt. Coach called me, asked me to come over and help the team coach a guy how to snap. They were worried he would get hurt. They didn't have anybody else available. I actually was signed and suited up on the sideline at Legion Field for 2 weeks till the season ended. Never got in the game, but it was fun. What a cool story. And Steve said that Texas player Weaver, the fraudster, is the Don Draper from Mad Men of college football.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
Part of what makes this show is the show within the show. The biggest topic on the show always seems to be the show itself. This is a way to give you clones a way to interact with one another. Yes, we will be going through the chat. Yes, it'll be a part of the program. The only thing that could ruin the show are the old school clones spitting up the same bull crap that they always have. The jungle is out taking names and ready to dominate. Let's get it.
The Jim Rome Show podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet. Go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with the biggest names in pro wrestling and beyond.
Mr. Sandman. All I ever wanted to be was a pro wrestler. So I got to live my life and make people really happy.
The Heartbreak Kid himself, Shawn Michaels. Do you think there's anybody better than you were?
I think I was great at what I did, and I think other people were great at what they did as well. Greatness is more a mindset, I think, than anything else.
Mindset, motivation, insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.